call the channel The Jungle Nook, and I am currently dealing with my first major infestation of pests in my plant room. And I thought this would be a great opportunity for me to talk about how I have come up with the methods that I use for plant care. This is like what happens and what goes on here behind the scenes. Usually when I share information, I'm just showing you what I do and I explain why I'm doing what I'm doing. But usually I am doing my own research or looking up other people's research, really. And then I do my own experiments here. I do read a lot of papers that have been published by very smart people. And I'll read these papers, and usually when they start out, it is, they'll let you know what they're doing, like why they're performing the study, and what the control groups are, what the environment is that they're doing all their work in. And then at the very end, because I skip through the middle, and I read the end, and that's their conclusions and what their findings were. And usually, they're sourcing other information as well, and they'll provide where they're getting their other information from, and they'll even let you know what other papers have been published. Can you see the stuff flying around? What's been published on the same topic or similar studies. And I'll read them, and then I'll take that information as well as whatever experience I already have, and I'll do my own experiments. For an example, here's an example. And this is what has actually happened here over the last couple of years. I'll get a small plant and grow it, and that will be my mother plant. And I will then propagate it by cuttings or whatever. And I'll propagate it in several different ways and see which ways seem to work the best. But I will then take those propagations and put them into their own pot. But let's say, for instance, I might have 2 different pots that have 2 different types of soil in it. And then I will do the same with 2 more pots, but one will be really small that I'm constantly up potting, and the other one will go into a larger pot right off the bat. And I'll grow them for a year. And I'll see between the different soils as well as the different pot sizes how that plant performed. But then I will, and I will fertilize them and water them, or whatever, all the same. But then, over the next year or so, I will change up how I'm fertilizing these plants and how I'm watering them, and see what happens from there. And then that's the information, my conclusions, oh, use this soil, use this size pot, you have this much light for it, or just whatever, this type of fertilizer, or whatever it is. I just share my conclusions with you. I don't actually have a video that over the course of a year or 2 years, I'm showing the progress and the results. I don't do that. But I do get quite a few questions where I'm asked, what do you do for pest control so that you don't have major outbreaks and your plants are able to look so good? Well, there's a couple problems with me being able to answer that. I am not going to put a video out explaining something that I haven't dealt with myself. I'm not going to just look up some papers or watch some YouTube videos and then use that information to put a video out to tell you what to do or not to do. I have to actually do it myself, which obviously I haven't really completed the experiment here, because I finally have a major infestation, which I did not want. But to be honest, it was something in the back of my head that I knew was probably going to happen at some point, and I was going to be able to see if I was going to be able to deal with this infestation in an unorthodox manner, which is what I'm going to try to do now. In this video, I am going to give some information on spider mites and thrips, Those are the two insects I have the most experience with. But I'm also going to talk about insecticides, how insecticides work, because they do not all work the same, and what effects insecticides could possibly have on your plant. I am going to give some information about neem oil, which I have been conducting experimentations with for 2 years now. A lot of people really like neem oil. A lot of people do not like neem oil. I'm going to break down what I've learned about neem oil, how neem oil works, how you can use neem oil that is in ways that are not how it is directed or recommended to use, or how it's marketed. Other uses for neem oil for your plants. So let's talk about spider mites first, I guess. Spider mites are not actually an insect, they're an arachnid. And they are super tiny. And they actually have like a little, I forget the names of all these things, but there's like a little needle for their mouth that they stick into the plant. Well, they are so small, and the thing that they use to feed with is so small that they actually are sucking out whatever's in the cell. They actually suck the fluids out of individual cells. And when they do that, that's why you will have tiny little dots on your leaves. You can see that. And they also do have a web. You'll see the webbing. When you see the webbing, you have an infestation. Especially because they like to have their webbing around the outside of the leaves, but they will also hang out under the leaves right at the stems and veins, on both the top and the bottom. Spider mites actually like to come out and be around in the daytime. They only need 2 weeks from the time the egg is laid on the plant. They lay their eggs on top of the leaf, or on the outside of the leaf actually. It could be on the bottom or the top or the stem, but it's on the outside of the plant is where they lay their eggs. And within just a matter of a couple of weeks, those babies are already laying more eggs. And insecticides, true insecticides, are not effective against them because they're not an insect. There are products you can buy. You know, you have to look it up yourself. I don't remember what they are, but there are products you can buy specifically for spider mites, for arachnids. Basically, those products, most of them are just drying them out. I don't use any of those products because most likely the only predator insects I have in my home are the spiders. All my windowsills in my 3 plant rooms have spiders in each corner. Each corner of my house, or in these rooms, there is resident spiders. Some of the plants have resident spiders. They're not huge or nothing, but they're there, and I want to keep them because I clean up after them. I see how many insects they're actually taking care of. Hi, Ollie. This is Ollie. This is my kitty. I also have thrips. Now, there are different types of thrips. Believe it or not, there are actually some thrips that eat mites. They'll eat spider mites and various types of mites. I don't know if that's the type I have, but I'm wondering if it is, because the only plants I found thrips on are the plants that have the most, where the infestation is the most intense. Those are the only ones I found the thrips on. But I don't know which type of thrip they actually were. Thrips are an insect, and insecticides are, useful against them. And they too will also, suck the juices right out of the leaves. Spider mites cause more damage on thin-leaved plants because their feeding apparatus is so small. They like the thinner tissued leaves. Both the thrips and mites can migrate from plant to plant. A adult thrips, they really can fly, but they don't fly far. Spider mites inflate their bodies and they float through the air. And having a lot of ventilation can help these things to move around. So those are the two insects that I have the most of. I've been dealing with them for quite a long time, but they've never been a problem because of my pest control. What I do for pest control keeps them under control. I never even attempted to totally eradicate pests in my plant room. I have tried and have successfully eradicated pests on individual plants, but I have too many plants to really eradicate them completely everywhere. And they come in the house. They can get through your screen, come in on your clothing. Your kitty can bring them in, for your dog from outside. So I don't try to eradicate them completely. I just try to control them. My pest control is by having healthy plants to start with. I put a lot of focus and emphasis and resources and energy into providing my plants with what they need to be healthy. And a healthy plant is in a much better position to fight off these pests. Not all on their own, because in order for a plant to fight a pest off all on its own, it does fight the insects or molds and whatever directly, but they're also releasing pheromones, very specific pheromones for the whatever pest problem it's experiencing. Why are you biting me, bud? They release pheromones that are very specific to the pest they have, and they're bringing in insects that will specifically feed off of those insects or whatever it might be. And they provide those insects with a meal and also a place for them to have shelter and stuff. Okay, Ollie, I can't play right now. And are you even playing? Or are you mad? What are you doing? You don't want me on YouTube right now? Huh? Come on, you gotta go. You're not playing. You're mad at me. I'm not doing nothing. You gotta go. Holy cow, bud. Come here. You have to go. Boy. Okay, I'm back. I had to go clean the cat hairs off of me, and what the issue was, we have bad weather here right now, and I didn't have to go to work yesterday, which was great, or today, because I've been in here working on these plants. I never put any food in his dish today. He wasn't playing. He was a little upset with me. He's eating now. Okay, so let's talk about insecticides, how they work. When you buy a insecticide that's really effective, a lot of times it's actually multiple types of insecticide. Like insecticidal soap, that's got insecticides in it, which I got some here. I've never had to use any of this product in this bottle, I don't think I ever did. But insecticidal soap has several different types of insecticides in it and soap. That's why it's so effective. Certain insecticides are more effective against different types of insects, and they work in different ways too. And they're selling a product, so they want the product to be really effective. So like using something like that right there, you're spraying that on your plant, and there's several types of insecticides in there. One might kill on contact, but kills it within minutes. That is great, because you see that and you think, yeah, great product. They'll have other types of insecticides in there. Ones that will slowly dry an insect out over the course of a day or two. The soap in it, that can coat the plant to suffocate it. Also the eggs, suffocate the eggs as well. It's tricking the insects into thinking they're not hungry, so they starve. It could be tricking them into thinking, it's not time to reproduce. It will dry them out. Other compounds in there will suffocate. It does so many different things, but it can also have adverse effects on your plants. It can compromise the immune system. It can also mess with the hormones of the plant and all kinds of other functions, the pheromones, all sorts of things. What it can do is it can create a situation within your plant so it's not able to adequately regulate its hormones. And its hormones are how it senses the environment around it, including what types of insects and stuff are on it, and funguses and molds and whatever the pest is. So those hormones are then sending signals out to the immune system, which needs to be strong and not compromised, but these insecticides can also compromise the immune system, preventing it from being able to adequately produce different compounds that it will produce to fight the specific pests. It can also interfere with the pheromones, which the plant will be producing to warn other plants around that these particular insects are here. Start preparing yourself, but it's also producing these pheromones to draw in specific insects to help the plant. The plant's natural immunities are trying to fight off the insect, but it's also communicating with other insects to come and help it. And those insects are getting a meal, they have a place to live. You know, it's like almost like a symbiotic relationship. In our homes, it's very difficult for plants to, even your healthiest plants, to take care of a infestation without some help. That's where, you know, you got to come in and start wiping the plant down if you're not using insecticides and your plant's healthy. I get it. Sometimes this problem is so bad that you're going to want to use these types of products. I've been trying not to. There's other products that you can put right into the soil, and these insecticides and things will get absorbed into the plant. These can cause the same issues with the plants, but they also cause issues with the microorganisms that live in the soil. And if you're relying on a really rich organic soil, this will actually reduce the amount of nutrients that's available to your plant by reducing the colonies of the beneficial organisms that are breaking down the organic material into nutrients. So I had pretty much stopped using this for a while because a lot of my plants, I was doing experiments, going a little bit heavier with real, true organic material, nutritious materials for the plants. I've come to the conclusion that you really don't need to be putting composts or manures or things like that into your pots. Perlite and peat moss is just fine, and just add a nice all-purpose liquid fertilizer. It's much cheaper that way, a lot less maintenance. For my pest control, it's mainly wiping plants down with water and neem oil. Now we're going to talk about neem oil. A lot of people like it, a lot of people don't like it. I've been using it for 2 years now in a variety of different ways, and using it in different ways on different plants to see what type of results I get. There's no order to this, but here's the neem oil. I have a concentrated oil I gotta add water to. Now this product, there's 2 different versions of this product. And the difference is how they extract the oil from the seed of the neem tree. It is an all-natural product. I'm going to answer some questions, address some comments that I get quite a bit about neem oil right now. One is, I'm told this is a highly toxic product that is not natural and has been banned in many countries. It is a 100% natural product. Not everything that is natural is safe for you. Mushrooms are organic, right? They're natural. Some mushrooms are toxic and can make you sick. Some can kill you. Still natural. This is a natural product. The reason it has been banned in some countries and is no longer allowed to be used in some products is because neem oil was used in cosmetics for a long time. And putting neem oil on your skin for a prolonged amount of time will build toxins up in you and can have problems for you. I think it's problems with your organs or something. That's why it's been banned, because, and especially think about women that wear makeup, or even men that wear lotion and even went into moisturizers, that are putting moisturizer or makeup on every single day. You're constantly putting these toxins, you know, it's a toxin for us. But it's natural for the plants, and it is in no way anywhere even close to having the adverse effects as man-made insecticides. And you probably should wear gloves when putting it on. I've explained how do I say this? First, I should probably say everybody that leaves me these great comments about neem oil and about plant care, almost 99% of the time, you guys I agree with you 100% on the surface. I agree 100% on your advice to me for plant care, or why I should not use neem oil, or why I should or shouldn't be using other things, but everybody's situation is a little bit different. I use neem oil to condition my leaves to help with evaporation. My humidity is currently 36% in the house, but it has been dropping down to 28%. Those of you that know about humidity in houseplants, 28% is not really efficient for tropical houseplants. But anyway, I use my neem oil to clean my leaves and make them nice and shiny, and to condition them to help them from drying out. You know, I've gotten quite a few comments where people tell me that using this as an oil and you will suffocate your plants. It won't suffocate your plants if you use it as directed, which I believe they tell you not to use it. Don't, at least go 3 weeks between an application. I usually apply it once every 2 to 3 months. But also when I apply this, it's concentrated, and I dilute it even further than what is recommended. So I'm not worried about smothering my plants. If what I was doing was going to smother my plants, they would have died a year or two ago. Also, if you're putting this product onto leaves that are actively growing, you know, even after, for a lot of the plants, even after a leaf has opened, I have golden pothos leaves that last year, after they had grown for a year, were like this big, and the leaf's still there, and now the leaf's this big. The leaf's still growing, and if you're applying this in like summer or spring or maybe even fall, when the plant's actively growing the most, the plant's spreading out further, like not diluting, but I think you know what I'm trying to say. It's not, if you use it as directed, and especially if you don't use it as often as they say, and you dilute it even further, you can totally use this to shine your leaves and to help prevent evaporation and to help your plants not dry out. Also, because it is an oil, I have a lot of hard water here. Literally a drip of water, I mean referring to an actual drip that evaporates, will leave a spot on the leaf. If I don't have any neem oil on that leaf, it's harder for me to get that calcium buildup off. If it does have neem oil and I get a drip and it has calcium buildup, has a water spot, it wipes off real easy. As far as the humidity, I've been conversing back and forth in the comments with this one individual, giving me great advice. All the advice that this person's given me is totally accurate. on the it is. No, it is. It's totally accurate. You're totally right. But you haven't, I don't think you've watched much of my channel, or you totally did not watch certain videos because you recommended humidifiers. I cannot use humidifiers here. And you also recommended me watering my plants more. So a lot of people right now watching this video, hearing me say what you said, they're probably wondering how could he possibly water his plants more, considering I water my plants almost every day. Some of my plants have actually been watered. They could be watered multiple times in one day. I'm not going to get into that right now. But I cannot, it's literally impossible to water my plants anyway. No, it ain't. I could water my plants and just let it flow out the bottom. But I mean, that's not going to help. I cannot use humidifiers here. I'm not even going to get into that. I've talked about it in many other videos. I cannot use humidifiers here. As far as the insect control, how it works, how this product works for insects, it does two things. For insects that feed off of the plant, it has, I believe it's a hormone. Now this stuff will get absorbed into the cell itself, inside of the cell. And when an insect is consuming, the sap or, whatever it's sucking out of the plant, I believe it's a hormone. That hormone tricks the plant into believing it is not hungry and it starves to death. It's not instantaneous, it's going to take a while, but it will starve to death. It's not going to do nothing for the eggs. And it's not going to do nothing for spider mites because they're not an insect. But treating it with the neem oil, you're wiping off the spider mites, right? And you're coating the plant in an oil. So any eggs that did not get wiped off, and maybe some of the spider mites themselves, while this product's drying, they're getting coated in the oil, which that is suffocating them and their eggs. The thrips, the insecticide, it's not even really an insecticide, it is a hormone. It's a hormone that is telling the insects they're not hungry. And also the oil's coating them too. So it does provide some protection against insects and even non-insects. Now, fungus. Yeah, if this stuff comes in contact with fungus, it kills it. But this also gets absorbed into the plant, which is nice. I should have included this in my root rot video. Or I might have. I didn't watch to see it. Maybe I did. The compounds that are naturally occurring in neem oil that combat fungus does a couple things to fungus. One, it will coat it and kill it. But also, it tricks the fungus into thinking it should not produce spores. That's helpful. But also, it gets absorbed into the plant, and when fungus is actively feeding on the plant, or even dead tissue that has this on it, it kills the fungus. But it is not this stuff, I'm talking about the neem oil. The neem oil is really effective against certain types of funguses. It's more effective against certain types. And it's really good against pathogens, which are just a classification of fungus that is the type of fungus that infects your plant and causes what we refer to as root rot. When you think of root rot, this is really good to combat root rot, to prevent it and to stop it from continuing to occur. And you don't have to get it on the roots. You don't got to take the roots out of the soil. You put it on the leaves. It gets absorbed into the leaves, goes down into the roots. It's real good for that as well. You can also polish your wood with neem oil. That's great to combat molds and mildews and funguses that, they're spores, And it also makes your woodwork nice and shiny. trying to think, what else have I learned with this? Like this. Okay, so neem oil is not a highly effective insecticide or fungicide or milicide. The milicide means it kills millipedes. It's a whole different type of thing. It's not an insect, not an arachnid, but it's effective against millipedes too. Helps to prevent your plants from drying out. It helps to keep them moist, keeps them shiny, makes it easy to clean them after they've already been treated. If you're just polishing your leaves, you might be removing insects that you don't see. But it is never going to be as effective as an insecticidal soap or even these other products that you put into the soil that get absorbed into the plants, but it doesn't have as many side effects. It's gonna do me no good to use an insecticidal soap on my plant. I spent so much time and energy and resources having my plants be healthy so they can fight off a problem. Now they have a problem. Well, now's not the time to toxify my plants and affect their ability to regulate their hormones, produce pheromones, regulate their immune system, and produce all these different compounds. Guys, I did try to go around and get some clips. Even with my camera zoomed in all the way, my cell phone is what I got to use for this kind of stuff. It doesn't do no justice. I do want to have proof. I've been wiping my plants down for days now anyway. But I get it. There's no proof that I'm having the problems that I am. But I did find a new type of spider mite today. I not only have the white ones, but I also have red spider mites. Never had them before on multiple plants. The fungus that I thought I have, it's not a fungus. So I thought it was an insect. I thought it was mealy bugs or something. It's not them neither. One thing that I learned, I don't see real good. And I use these glasses to have to see stuff, which is nice because I can even have double magnify. I got 2 magnifying glasses on here, which helps. But I don't see real good up close. But I realized today that I can actually wear my glasses with double the double magnifying, and I can see stuff even better now. That's how I found the red mites. It's also how I realized I don't have mealybugs or a fungus. It was actually a really dense clump of the white spider mites. I'm real happy about that. I've never looked up red spider mites until I seen them. I was like, that's a spider mite. They're bigger than the other ones. But I did look it up, and yeah, there are red spider mites. I haven't really looked up if there's anything different about them. I'm gonna go look something up. So I had to go look up the red spider mites, because for a minute there, I know some types of thrips eat mites, not just the sap of the plants. So for a minute there, I was like, wow, do the red spider mites eat the white ones? They don't, they eat the same thing. So yeah, I'm going to be continuing to use water. Me using water to wipe off my plants, that is basically me doing the role of the predator insects. And then the plant is also fighting this stuff off. I'm not going to use harsh insecticides on my plants. I need to see, now that I have an actual infestation of multiple things, will my plants, with what they do naturally and with me taking over the role of the predator insect, removing them, will that be sufficient? I have to continue to do what I am doing, but I am going to use the neem oil. Remember, the neem oil. I will be using the neem oil too. I'm going to see if those 2 things are going to be sufficient, along with my healthy plants, to deal with these problems. It might not. It might not. I do know for the last 3 years it was probably sufficient the way I was doing it, but I was using some of this synthetic insecticide in the soils too, so I don't know how much of a role this was playing, but I did not put this into most of my plants. And I will use this if need be. It's an experiment. I am going to see what I can do over the next, I got to give it at least 3 weeks because of the spider mites and thrips. I'm not even sure what the life cycle is for the thrip as far as how long it goes from egg to hatching and feeding. But I do know it's 2 weeks for the spider mites. So I'm gonna have to go at least 3 more weeks. I'm saying three more weeks. I've been doing this for well over about a week now. So I'm gonna go 3 more weeks and see how everything looks. Do this for 3 more weeks and then wait 2 or 3 weeks without doing anything, maybe. I mean, I'll be checking stuff. I might do something if I need to, but see how these insects rebound after that. And maybe I can get away with the neem oil and the just water.